In his house at Earlier, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming.
In a series that will go over every aspect of horror legend H.P. Lovecraft's most famous canon, the Cthulhu mythos, it only makes sense to start with the titular Great Old One himself, Great Cthulhu. Possessing an appearance that is beyond human understanding, the only depictions of Cthulhu are the result of the cobbled-together descriptions from what little cult members have been able to comprehend before losing their minds. While the being himself is understood to be as large as a mountain, or bigger, his depictions most often take the form of small statues, which portray the Great Old One as vaguely humanoid in shape, with the face of a squid and bat-like wings protruding from his back. Born on the planet Vorhi of the 23rd Nebula to deity Nug, and grandson of the outer gods Yog-Sothoth and Shub-Niggurath, Cthulhu is counted amongst the Great Old Ones, an ancient race of beings typically described as dwelling amongst the earth, having once ruled over the planet as gods long ago. It should be noted, however, that the definition of a Great Old One has varied throughout the various works of Lovecraft and his contemporaries, with beings possessing other attributes typically denoted as being a part of other cosmic groups of Lovecraftian lore being counted among them, but we'll get into that later. Cthulhu traveled to the Zoth system, where after mating with Id-Ya, his children were born, known as the Star Spawn of Cthulhu, most notably his sons Gatanathoa, Ithogtha, Zoth-Amog, and daughter Cthulhu. From Zoth, Cthulhu and his progeny traveled around the cosmos, making a stop on Saturn before settling on Earth, where they constructed the city Earlier in the Pacific Ocean. Cthulhu's arrival on Earth was met with hostility from the Elder Things, another group of ancient cosmic beings who were the first amongst all the cosmic beings to settle on Earth when they landed here over 1 billion years ago. A war was fought for control of the Earth, a war that ended with the races of space titans reaching a truce, after which Cthulhu entered a great slumber in his city of Earlier, a city which eventually sunk to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. As he slept, the human race came into existence, and Cthulhu began communicating with people through their dreams, with said people eventually forming cults and worshipping the tentacled deity. It is said that Cthulhu will one day rise to end the world, an event that nearly happened in the 1920s. The specific alignment of the stars had brought the sunken stone city of Earlier to the surface, with a, quote, hideous, monolith-crowned citadel rising above the water. When the sailors investigated the city, they were horrified by what they witnessed. Grotesque statues and horrifying hieroglyphs, and architectural impossibilities as a result of the place's non-Euclidean geometry. The sailors opened a building, from which the monstrous Cthulhu emerged, attacking them, with the sailors only barely managing to escape when they cut the Great Old One in half with their ship. As they made their getaway, the sailors witnessed Cthulhu's bisected halves reforming. This event likely would have spelled utter doom for the world, were it not for the shifting of the stars. As the stars changed position, the city of Earlier sank again, creating a powerful current in the water that dragged dread Cthulhu back into the building from which he had earlier emerged, closing the door behind him and trapping the cosmic deity indefinitely. In addition to the various cults around the world that Cthulhu influences and communicates with via dreams, the Great Old One is worshipped by other cosmic entities, including the grotesque Deep Ones and the Mi-Go, as well as the Zothians, or Cthulhu's star spawn. While Great Cthulhu is a godlike entity when viewed from the perspective of humans, there are several other cosmic entities that outclass him. Again, we'll get to them later. Despite this, Cthulhu still possesses various powers and abilities that make him a world-ending threat, should he ever wake again. It is said that the dread Cthulhu is a result of an underlying anxiety present in all of humanity. His strength is so vast as to be incomprehensible by the human mind. In fact, all of him is beyond human comprehension. As mentioned earlier, those humans who have dared lay eyes upon him have been driven instantly mad, never again regaining control of their mind. This is why Cthulhu most often communicates to humans through their dreams via his incredibly powerful psychic and telepathic powers. He is a nigh-omniscient being in that he is aware of everything happening in the universe at all times. The most famous and recognizable creation of the father of cosmic horror, H.P. Lovecraft, Cthulhu was first featured in a 1928 issue of Weird Tales magazine in the short story The Call of Cthulhu. Despite being referenced heavily in other works by Lovecraft, including The Whisperer in Darkness, The Dunwich Horror, and At the Mountains of Madness, The Call of Cthulhu is the only work by Howard Phillips Lovecraft himself that actually features the apocalyptic entity in the flesh. Outside of Lovecraft's own work, other authors have utilized Cthulhu in their own entries into the mythos, most notably August Derleth, an author with whom Lovecraft shared a great deal of correspondence in his life. As mentioned, this series is going to focus on the Cthulhu mythos as a whole, detailing all of the entities, groups, and locations it comprises. I'll be back next time, so long as the blind idiot god Azathoth doesn't wake up, but if that happens, you won't even be around to know it.